Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for welcoming us to your home.
Thank you, Kijana Kennedy.
But you also remember that my name betrays me.
Yeah.
Does it still betray me, really?
Not really. Never. It has never betrayed you.
Why are you supporting BBI? Have you been promised something?
No. Why? I'm a Kenyan, and I think for me, the most important thing is what is promised to me. What is important is to have an all-inclusive country. We have seen the dangers of negative ethnicity. We started by talking about you, Ken.
Yes.
Where I was almost crucified, and I had to, you remember, on 27th of November, I had to apologize at Bomas of Kenya. Because I'm sure a lot of people were angered by my gusto in supporting my brother Raila Odinga. And when I was challenging IEBC, and I said things that were very hurting, maybe to the people who did not buy my views. As a Kenyan leader, I had to apologize. I apologize because I've always been a true nationalist, and my only interest is to have a country where Kenyans look at each other without asking, are you a Mkamba, are you a Mumeru, are you a Kalenjin, Kikuyu, that kind of thing. So the opportunity presented by BBI, because both Uhuru and Raila are saying, we want a country that will be going into elections without fighting and killing each other. So my promise is not that I promise. I am going for the real thing, God willing. The real thing in 2022, we made it clear. My party has made it very clear, okay? And we are prepared. We are raring to go.
You're raring to go. Yes. Then there is the question of constant changing the constitution. Yes. There has been talk that after every 2 years into a new government, the discussion around changing the constitution always comes up. Is it a good thing that we need to talk about it and to change the constitution as often as possible?
Kennedy, let me remind you that constitution, and you're talking to a constitutional lawyer, can never be a static document. So it must always be responsive to the whims and the aspirations of the Kenyan people, or indeed wherever constitutions are applied worldwide. But again, it's not a document that you want to amend every other day. All right? Because this is a supreme law of the land. In fact, the same constitution says, I think under Article 2, that this is the supreme law of the land. Any other law which is inconsistent with the provisions of this document is seen to be void to the extent of such inconsistency. Therefore, you cannot keep on amending it. But when a moment arises, like I believe it has now arisen, then you need to be bold enough and walk the whole hog, walk the journey. Give this country a document that will usher in, even will look good in future generations. We want to grow you people.
Yes.
We want you to be proud of the country 100 years down the line.
Kalonzo Musyoka is a man who commands a lot of respect in Lower Eastern.
I thought in the country.
And also in the country.
Thank you.
Also in the country, but charity begins at home.
Yeah.
But the same charity that begins at home seems to have a problem with you. That is the governor for Kitui and also the other two governors from Ukambani. Is there a conflict between you and them, and do they actually listen to you anymore? I
have no problem with any of the governors you mentioned. These are my brothers and my sister. But when we discuss issues of integrity, it is not that I'm directing at any person, but we must all be subject to the supreme law of the land. We must be subject to provisions of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on integrity. And some of them have declared they want to run for president. I applaud them. Yeah? That is the way I've always been, an open Democrat. I have never been a dictator. I will never be a dictator. But we may have differences of approach. Yeah? And when you have differences of approach, that should not be seen to be anything other than what it is.
Are you the architect of Charity Ngilu's woes?
Absolutely no. What woes? I don't know. I think when I last checked, First of all, I am an advocate. Yeah, I'm on record as an advocate when she was accused of burning a lorry belonging to some Kikuyu businessmen in Kiambu. I went all the way and got hold of her hand. I said, and in fact managed to convince National Cohesion Commission to appoint me an arbitrator between Charity Ngilu and Babayao Waititu, because Waititu also started stoning cars, either in Thika or Limuru, I can't remember where. And again, Charity was accused of starting a militia between the border of Kitui and Tana River counties. I am an advocate. I am open. I have no ill will or plan evil against anybody. That is not me.
But then what's the source of your trouble with Charity Ngilu? Because there is the belief that she has taken your place probably next to Raila, or she has also taken your place in the BBI discussion, and she's even accused you of using members of the county assembly to frustrate her working as governor of Kitui.
Kennedy, I think you are now falling into that trap that I was trying to help you from, of not allowing MCAs to exercise their constitutional mandate of oversight. When they do that, but I can tell you we have never sat as Wiper Democratic Movement National Executive Council and direct our MCAs in Kitui to impeach Governor Ngilu. We have never done that. Yeah? But if in the course of their own business, there are issues that arise and they are addressed, then I should not be dragged in. This I've told you. Now, on the one hand, you have a Kalonzo who is protecting Charity Ngilu from prosecution. All right? Which is worse? To be taken and dragged and charged with stoning and destroying property maliciously, or to allow MCAs to discuss with her, and I believe she will sort it out somehow. So please don't drag me into very unhealthy debate about home politics. I am operating at the national level. The MCAs who are there know what to do with their governor. The governor knows what to do with our team. I wish her well, and I wish the MCAs well as well.
The governor for Makueni believes that it is time for you to leave the stage.
Who should leave the stage before?
And he actually says you suffer from prima donna syndrome, and that has become
First
a source
of all,
conflict.
Kibwana is older than me. Number one, he was always 1 year ahead of me in school. Number two, when I made him governor, because he was losing that time, right? And I don't want to discuss personalities. I tell you, there are people suffering from worse forms of syndrome than what you are referring to. The time for President Kalonzo Musyoka has come. And he knows it. He knows it. Deep inside. He knows it.
Then what's the source of conflict?
And I repeat. And I'm actually probably almost addressing him because he's my brother. He knows it. He knows the time is now. So let's stop these pretenses. The time has come. And I made it one thing clear, and I said this at my father's funeral. If Uhuru Kenyatta is not going to be run, the only person I will not oppose, all right, is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Because I gave a pledge at my father's funeral. In fact, I went very emotional. I said, my children are his children. His children are my children. We are mature enough to know what has been ailing this country politically. And I know which leaders can be trusted, or I can entrust the future, and so far entrust my well-being and the future of this country, because what I go through personally is immaterial. I can suffer personally. But the country needs to be safe. Any other leader who will come between me and running for election will probably end up with me in the same coalition or facing me on the other side. Now, and that is as clear as can be.
You've spoken about the deep state and how deep it can go. Do you think that the deep state is using these three governors to even try and scuttle your presidential ambitions? Now that you believe, even going ahead to bump on the chair that you're sitting in, that the time for Kalonzo has come.
And with it, the time for Kenya and
yes.
A new, hopefully, amended Constitution 2010. I do not believe my friends have capacity to derail. Kenyans have come of age. And the community that I come from for sure, has known I've never misled them in any situation. I do not intend to mislead them. If any of my friends can prove that they are better than me, they are most welcome.
So you still remain the Ukambani kingpin?
Well, you say so, but I believe that is actually de facto the situation.
The situation is de facto.
Yes,
remain
absolutely.
the de facto kingpin.
And
of
these things are earned. They are never imposed. You can't grab it. This comes with ability of a people to trust you. Yeah.
You have gone on record and actually given an interview to our sister paper, that is the Sunday Nation, and you categorically said that you have a pact between yourself and Raila Odinga, having been his deputy president nominee twice. What is the pact that you spoke about, and does it really exist?
My friend, I must congratulate my friend Raila, because he was asked this question about 2-3 days ago, and his response was,
By myself?
I will not respond to it, because I do not even understand the context within which Stephen was speaking. This is a matter between me and Raila Amolo Odinga.
But you started
and
the
I'm
talk.
not free. No, that, by the way, was your interviewer picked a tail end of our conversation and blew it into a headline.
But you know,
and he talked about a secret pact. Oh no, please. The time for those discussions will probably come or not come at all.
But there is a pact.
Well, I don't want to talk about that. I told you I will not talk about it. Just like my friend Raila said, he is not free to talk about it. I'm also not free to talk about it. Let's go to your next subject.
My next subject is still on that. No. You've deputized Raila twice.
Yes.
Are you ready to deputize him again if he carries the mantle of this?
I don't know how does he carry the mantle.
If in
I think on a wider scale, I think my friend said that coalitions are meant to win elections.
Yes.
But I can tell you the NASA coalition was meant to win election 2017, if not win, work together towards 2022. I think happened on NASA too. I can correct my senior brother on that one. Because if he looks at the document, which is a public document, it talks about NASA will continue to work in Parliament until 2022. That is a public document, and I don't think it ended with the winning or losing election. All right? So that's the only subject that I thought I could point out to him in a very friendly, brotherly manner, as I've always done with everybody. Okay? But let us wait and cross that bridge when you get to it. I've just told you one thing, that I don't see between me and running for presidency 2022 anything other than God himself speaking to me, and he has a way of speaking to me, and I leave it. And if I leave it, going home is always an option. All right? But I think I've not finished my mission with regard to uniting this country, even uniting the region.
Your friends, David Murathe, the vice chairperson of Jubilee Party, whom you hold a respect for.
Yeah.
Your other friend, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli,
Yeah.
have come out and said, let us give Raila 5 years.
Well, that is their own their own personal. I believe they said so. I'm here to talk to David.
They said so. We have them on camera. We have them on tape.
Very well. They're entitled to their opinion. But I'm sure they'll also be subject to overriding other interests going forward.
So are you ready to work with Raila again moving into 2022?
Well, listen, we haven't discussed. And if my friend is saying NASA is dead, and I'm saying NASA as of now is not dead, because Wiper is still a member of NASA, and legally Wiper is a member of NASA, ANC is a member of NASA, Ford Kenya is a member of NASA. And Chama cha Mashinani, what Wiper and Chama cha Mashinani have done is to sign a cooperation agreement with Jubilee. All right? If we were to negotiate a coalition with Jubilee, all right, then those issues my friend David Murathe is talking about will of course be subject to discussion. So let us not jump the gun. You know, I'm the most persuasive Kenyan you have ever known, if you didn't know. Okay? And now, coupled with intense experience and ability in my view, to look at the wider interests of this nation, please, you can trust me.
Kalonzo Musyoka has told us that he doesn't mind going home. What if Kalonzo Musyoka was given an opportunity to serve in President Uhuru Kenyatta's cabinet?
When?
Now, if there's a reshuffle coming up.
I don't know. That reshuffle will have to take into account that I'm a party leader, and unless you come up with a proviso, when you are a party leader, then you do not, and you're appointed cabinet secretary, you don't relinquish the position of party leader. That will be probably within the wider consultation, but as of now, I don't think President Uhuru Kenyatta will wake up one morning and appoint me cabinet minister without referring to me. That
So
is the
no
nature.
such
That is the
discussion.
reality. That is the reality of a current conduct of our politics. And that has not happened. I can tell you, he has not approached me to tell me, would you consider joining the cabinet? He approached me and asked me to be the country's special envoy to South Sudan. And I think I've delivered within a very short time. I continue to deliver. That's why I said I've served under 3 presidents.
Yes.
President Moi, President Kibaki, and now President Uhuru as his special envoy to the Republic of South Sudan.
Kalonzo Musyoka, during the burial of your father, stood and said that I am ready to be mtu ya mkono wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta. In English, mtu ya mkono is an errand boy. Are you still Uhuru's errand boy, and what does it entail to be an errand boy?
Where, Kennedy, did you study that English? I'm not an errand boy. And the president knows I'm not an errand boy. But more importantly, at that funeral, and I was burying my father. My father and I were very close.
Yes.
Very, very close. That's why whatever I said before we bid him farewell was a serious matter. In fact, I remember William Ruto taking me on that statement before we lowered Mzee's casket. He told me, Steve, welcome to Club ya Watu wa Mkono. What does that tell you? This is not a club ya Watu wa Mkono. This is a club of people who are going to the table. I was basically saying, I'm going to that table where there is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, there is William Samoei Arap Ruto, and there is Raila Amolo Odinga, and others. I am going to that table. That is what errand boy means, my friend. And take it from me, that's what I meant.
But in the Kenyan context, will an errand boy really sit at the table where his boss is?
That is where we are. How else would you explain cooperation between Wiper and Jubilee? Hiyo ni kazi ya errand.
Hamjamezwa?
That is serious. Hakuna kitu kama hicho, my friend.
Because
and this is clear. It's absolutely clear and plain. Yeah? An errand boy, quote unquote, who becomes the next president of the Republic of Kenya is truly not an errand boy. That is a leader. And do you think with my experience in politics, I would go to Gatundu and ask for President Uhuru to give me a djembe and go and till his land? Because an errand boy can also till the land.
Yes.
You must be realistic. So I tell you what I meant, we are at the negotiating table. So, never mind what my friends David Murathe, Francis Atwoli are saying about my friend Raila Odinga. We will put all those things together at the table.
Is Kalonzo Musyoka running for president in 2022? And 2, there are talks to have the election, or somebody is trying to start that conversation about postponing the election. Would you be a proponent of such a discussion?
I think you're referring to remarks by former Senator of Nyamira. You know, again, the Kenyans are very free to express opinion. He must have been so scared by this COVID that he forgets that in Tanzania they have elections in October. Whatever the persuasion, that former senator, of course, cannot be ignored. He's a Kenyan. He has put forward a thought. I don't think I've had time to interrogate that thought. What, however, I can confirm and tell Kenyans is, God willing, God enabling, we will be running for election as President of the Republic of Kenya in 2022, the second Tuesday of August 2022.
Should we be afraid of the deep state? And are Ruto's concerns valid?
I think Ruto, I don't want to comment about him, but I can tell you, it shows there's a dysfunctioning relationship between the president and his deputy. How can the deputy accuse the boss of using the deep state?
He's out of the picture, you say?
Well, I don't know. I think it shows there's something grossly amiss. I could not have imagined, as President Kibaki's vice president, getting to that situation. In fact, President Kibaki was so happy with his vice president that one time he got his bakora and we drove through Machakos to Kitui, and at Machakos he said, I'm so happy with the way Stephen has helped me as president of this country that I'm asking you now to help him go to the next level. That was only replacing President Kibaki. I mean, because he was going home. He wanted the country to support me. But I think before the following day, that story was removed from all the newsrooms. I think by the deep state.
So there is a deep state?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. What there is, there are interest groups. There are lots of interest groups. And those interest groups, some of them, have enabling capacity. But it is wrong for a deputy president like William Ruto to challenge his boss in the manner he has done today. If I was him, I would do the honorable thing. I would resign. So then I can now attack, because there's no difference between the government and the deep state. They're one and the same.
Do you believe that Kenya, as it is right now, is governed by the rule of law?
Yeah. It should be. There are shortcomings.
Should be, or is it?
Well, it is not the Kenya of 1985 when I went into parliament, for sure. It is not a country that can take its dissenters in public opinion or wherever. And you look at it, I said a lot of freedom of expression, which is now guaranteed under Katiba 2010. Now, those are things. Well, the application is what the issue is here. And I can tell you, again, as senior counsel, we are a country under the rule of law. First of all, we recognize under Constitution 2010 that we are also a country under God. So nobody should proclaim monopoly or protection by God. Yeah. It is a whole country, a country under God, the supremacy of God. Oh, God of all creation, yeah? And some of us are serious believers in that aspect. So I can tell you that we are a country under the rule of law. We fall short when it comes to implementation of the rule of law itself.
There is the question of the separation of powers. We've seen points of conflict, whereby you've seen the executive and the judiciary are at loggerheads sometimes. Also, the executive and the legislature, as it is right now, are also finding points of conflict. Some of these cases I can even mention is like the appointment of the 41 judges. There's the budget cuts to the judiciary and all this. How do you think some of these questions could be put in the Constitution in a manner that will not bring these conflicts moving forward?
Yeah, there have been those hiccups call them hiccups, almost like a storm in a teacup.
Yeah.
Because the concept of separation of powers is enshrined in Constitution 2010. I repeat, it's just the implementation of the same that sometimes creates misunderstandings. And in my own mind, you cannot have any situation other than an independent judiciary. Whatever else we can do to strengthen that independence, perhaps we should look at in the unfolding debate about the amendment to Constitution.
But having an independent judiciary, does it serve the purpose or the powers that be? Because if you have a very strong
No, it doesn't have to serve. Yeah, no. That is where the issue is. When Supreme Court or any judge of the High Court or any judge of or a bench of the Court of Appeal adjudicating on any matter, they should be independent and they should not be influenced by anybody, not by the legislature and not by the executive. These are cardinal rules of separation of powers.
If you're president, like the way you want to be,
yes,
would you envision a judiciary that is free-thinking?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can tell you, I can go to any length to ensure that is so. Because the moment you compromise on the administration of justice, then you'll have a lot of problems.
Was the president right in rejecting the 41 judges?
Yes, I think he had also his constitutional mandate, and I hope that this issue will be resolved, right? I think I've seen the latest opinion by a bench, again saying you cannot force the president to appoint, because the current president of my society, the Law Society of Kenya, is apparently reading from another script. And so he should also stand properly guided that the president had issues about integrity of some of the nominees. You cannot wish that away. But I don't think that also interferes with the independence of the judiciary. If there's any conflict, that must be resolved expeditiously.
We've had other interviews where, including the ODM leader, has said that Parliament is dead. But if you go to ask parliamentarians, they will tell you that it is the executive that has made sure that we cannot function properly. If we were going into a constitutional change, like the one you're saying the country is ripe for right now, what do you think will be put in there to guarantee the independence of these bodies so that the president has no influence whatsoever when it comes to the judiciary and the legislature?
I think with regard to the legislature, it's a completely different ballgame. I don't see anything wrong with Constitution 2010 when it comes to the conduct of Parliament vis-a-vis the executive. Please, that's why some of us have actually argued very clearly that I hope the Yusuf Haji team will make it possible for ministers to also be, right, members of the National Assembly or members of the Senate, as the case may be, should be members of Parliament. Why? Because, again, the executive should be held to account on the floor of the House. What you have now, and this personally I've really been very unhappy with this, you have the committee system under the Constitution 2010, where the chairman or chairpersons of these committees were supposed to vet appointees by the executive, end up being a very funny lot of people. Mm-hmm. They are compromised, right, left, and center. If I want to be a cabinet secretary, internal security, I have to go before a committee of Parliament. A lot of them are known to have demanded kickbacks.
Oh.
Kickbacks, and this therefore has undermined the spirit of devolution, the spirit of Constitution 2010, yeah? And this is common knowledge. If you want anything, you have to part with some money. When you hear some of these members go out into meetings for vetting, but particularly vetting, and therefore they invite the executive to interfere. Because if I'm the president and I'm proposing your name to be Minister for Foreign Affairs, and you have to go through that vetting, and we know those people will not pass your name unless they are given some kickbacks. What do? We negotiate with them. Now, for me, that undermines the spirit of Constitution 2010. All right? This I've told, and I've told members of parliament. Wiper members of parliament are not in that league. Yeah? And I know, they know that we follow. In fact, under our constitution, party constitution, which we are amending, we are saying the performance of our MCAs, performance of our senators, performance of our members of parliament will be also brought to scrutiny by National Executive Council. Because you don't want people using the party to gain a ticket, you go into elected position, then you abuse it.
So you believe parliament is dead?
No, no, no. Parliament is not dead. You cannot say that. If parliament is dead, then the country is dead, my friend. Okay? What parliament needs to do is to realize its mandate. I believe Speaker Muturi tries very much. Okay? He tries very much. Speaker Ken Lusaka, he tries, but I think he has issues at the Senate.
Yes.
Okay? But I can tell you, Speaker Muturi is tried. In fact, when he started, I didn't think he was going to be as strong as he has emerged now.
Yeah, but he has also been. He's also been in this process. He has been at Katiba.
Yeah.
He has also. But now,
I think legal training helps the speakers.
It does, because it is all about lawmaking.
Muturi has come out strong.
7 years on, when we have devolution, I think 7 years is a fair time to give a scorecard. What are your thoughts about...
Did you say 7 times?
No, 7 years.
7 years since?
It has been 7 years since we had the devolution.
Devolution?
Because it came into force in 2013 when we went to elections. Until now it is 7 years.
7 years.
What would your assessment be of the performance of governors past and present and devolution as a whole?
I think I gave you some insights into my own way of...
you said about the 47 mini presidents.
Yes, and a lot of them have become billionaires. These people must be held to account. The first batch of governors and Katiba like this in Nigeria, a lot of governors went to jail. I'm not in any way suggesting people should go to jail, but accountability is important, because all of a sudden huge sums of money go to the grassroots, right? And then governors, because they found that they didn't have proper regulations, and went ahead and misused this. And I think even the second batch, some of them continue with that kind of situation. They should be able to face up to the wrath of the Kenyan people, because nobody should be excused from serious accountability. Imagine 15%. And you end up with thieving governors. What I'm saying is we believe that we should give even up to 40%, including giving support to every ward in terms of the CDF, whatever equivalent of what they're giving to members of parliament. So, but all of this, unfortunately, has not been a very good story. In terms of accountability, I can tell you, this is my second term sitting in opposition, and I can tell you, and I think even President Uhuru may want to agree, there's a lot of work to be done with regard to holding governors to account.
So if we were to go to a constitutional...
And then you have a situation, Kennedy, like now senators are fighting teeth and nails to make sure the formula does not disadvantage their respective counties. Yeah, and that's why I've always insisted there must be equity as well. You recognize those counties with a heavy population, and because every person must be rich with services, you cannot say, oh, there are no poor people in central Kenya, or there are no poor people in Nairobi, right?
But then, Your Excellency, you are of the view that some of these resources that we take into the counties are mismanaged.
Absolutely.
But you are of the view that more resources should be taken to the counties.
Yeah, we're going to amend this by throwing out a lot of these governors. They will be thrown out.
How do we tighten this accountability?
President Uhuru has 2 years, exactly 2 years, to leave a strong legacy in the fight against corruption. I remember telling him he should never blink. If he blinks, because this is like a low-lying fruit, it may be difficult to achieve all his intention and agenda on the agenda 4 on housing, manufacturing, security, and food security. Maybe that will take time. But this thing about saying, no, I will leave this country safe from these mandarins who steal public money. I think this is so based on that we went into cooperation, and based on that we are willing to go even into coalition. Yeah, and I hope my brother President Uhuru will not blink. He will not blink on this matter.
Now, but there is the question of you asking him not to blink.
Yeah.
But President Uhuru is not omnipresent like God.
Of course not.
He is there and he's given that mandate to officers who he believes should work properly. Yeah. Are these officers working properly to tackle these corruption cases? I'm asking this because we've seen there are governors who've been taken to courts. We've seen even the levels of cabinet secretaries who've been taken to court. We've seen also government officials who've been taken to court. But these cases are really, really dragging in court. It's a question, you being a lawyer, you know that there are these tactics that are being employed to delay cases. But how are we able to move? Who is failing the president this far?
I am on record celebrating the appointment of 3 serious Kenyans. Director of Criminal Investigation, Kinoti, Director of Public Prosecutions, Haji, and Mr. Barak, who is now the CEO of the Anti-Corruption Court. If these people are given freedom, without really absolute freedom to go for the big fish, whoever they are, this country will change. And let the courts also take note. If somebody is charged and you let them go off with a petty bail situation, all right, and somebody like a young man who actually went to Kenyatta Hospital, and here I celebrated Governor Sonko, because this young man had his baby born at Kenyatta Hospital and he didn't have the money to pay. So what does he do? He goes with a polythene paper and steals his baby. This man was arrested and the justice meted expeditiously against him. It took Governor Sonko to pay the fine or whatever it was. Can you imagine? You run so fast to crucify a young man who is trying to get his baby home. And then you let the big fish drag on for 10 years. Justice delayed, we must always remind ourselves, is actually justice denied. Kenyans demand justice. In this area of the fight against corruption, we haven't got it right yet.
Thank you very much. And that is where we leave it at.